Hey guys, what's up? MadUzuki here, bringing you a post-narrated, Pokemon Showdown Wi-Fi battle. This one's pretty good. It's actually pretty interesting. I make a lot of weird plays and strange things happen, but I don't really need to talk too much about the team. I feel like it's pretty straightforward. Other than the fact that Beedrill here is kind of amazing. He doesn't really get to do much in this battle, but you will see him in the next battle, because I think I'm going to do a double header. So let's get into the battle. My opponent's going to start with Piloswine. I'm going to lead with Beedrill. This obviously is not a super good matchup for me. So basically what I decide to do is, she's got a pretty dangerous team. I feel like Toxic Spikes is pretty much the best thing I could do. And then between Earthquake and Ice Shard, my Beedrill gets killed, but it's whatever. I'm going to bring in my Samurott, set up a Swords Dance, and I was really hoping for a flinch here, and it's kind of annoying that that whole thing happens and he survives it, but, it's whatever. I can bring in Fearow to finish it off. Fortunately, Ice Shard doesn't kill. I didn't think about that until after the fact, but if that killed, it would have been a pretty serious problem. Anyway, she's going to go out in Tauros, I'm going to go out into Raichu, and get the Volt Switch off. I'm going to go out into my Fearow just to, kind of fodder it off. I could have saved it for later, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference in the long run. But it is 5-3. Things are not looking great for me. My only Pokemon left that can really do anything offensively is Raichu, which is Choice Scarfed, I believe I have it. But I'm going to predict the Volt Switch or the Thunderbolt, whatever they want to do here, and I'm going to go into my Raichu so I can get my my special attack buff from Lightning Rod, because Lightning Rod Raichu is kind of a thing, and it works out really well. She's going to go into Liepard. At first, I was kind of expecting this. Once I saw Substitute, I thought it was going to be a Sub-Torment set, and that could have been really, really bad for me. But I decided to stay and go for the Thunderbolt, and it pays off, because apparently it's not a Sub-Torment set, and I managed to kill it. And this Kadabra would have been one shot, but it is Focus Sashed, which makes me a sad panda, because that means I have to use Thunderbolt twice to kill it off, which is kind of annoying, but it's whatever at this point. I probably could have preserved my Raichu, switched out to Alamolama, but it really doesn't matter, because this does work out in my favor, because I know Swellow, even with Facade and Toxic Orb, cannot really do much to my Alamolama. So basically at this point it's essentially just a stall war, unless I get critted, anything happens like that. But this combination of Wish, Protect, Regenerator, Physical Alamolama is kind of amazing, and Big Love Desk is a very, very reliable physical wall. So at this point I'm kind of just going back and forth playing the switching game to my advantage. I know I need Maractus to kind of hamper my opponent's Electabuzz, so this is when I bring in Alamolama to take on Swellow. Does a hell of a job tanking those Facades, and essentially I know I would have been able to live one more and wish myself back to full health. And that's basically what I'm going to do now, and just continue to try and Toxic Stall out this Electabuzz. I'm not sure what hidden power he was trying to go for there. It probably was Fire or Ice, looking at it, because maybe he expected me to bring in my Maractus, which is also specially defensive, and it's alright. It's not the best Pokemon in the world, but it is interesting. And it gets Leech Seed, so it's not terrible. But Superior does kind of beat it as a Sub-Seeder, though Maractus I have on just for the sake of spikes. But anyway, Alamolama is going to tank this Swellow out like it's its job, because it is. He's going to bring an Electabuzz, which isn't that big of a deal. I'm going to Protect just to see what he locks himself into. If it's Thunderbolt, I can go into Maractus, tank out the rest of this. If not, then it's probably Hidden Power Fire or Ice, and I could probably just fodder off my Maractus at this point, just, for the sake of Toxic turns. But I don't really have to do that, and then I decide, just because I know he can't kill me barring a crit, to go for the Leech Seed just to expedite this process a little bit and saves me a couple of turns. And that's going to be the game. It was a very well played game. It was a very interesting game. This was particularly notable to me. My opponent was at the 1800 rating, and because of me and my ridiculously stupid teams and absolute nonsense that goes on with me, my current rating went for, or my rating at the time of this battle went from a 1370 to a 1393. So I was quite a few, I guess, for lack of a better term, experience tiers or rating tiers lower than my opponent, and I beat them without much trouble, which I found interesting. I mean, they did have a really solid team, but I feel like I just predicted better and outplayed them better. So, staying in with Beedrill at the beginning to get the Toxic Spikes up was probably the best decision I made in the game, because if it wasn't for those Toxic Spikes, there was a very, very good chance that I probably would have lost. So I think that really, really worked out in my favor to get those Toxic Spikes up, and it really paid off to trade Beedrill for my 2 sets of Toxic Spikes. And so that was a good game. And I will see you in a couple of minutes for the, well, not a couple of minutes. For you guys, it's going to be a couple of seconds for the next game. Hey, I am back with the second battle. This is a battle that I had shortly after the previous one. I made one change to this team, mostly being with, instead of Fearow, I now have Dodrio, just, because Dodrio is a little bit faster and a little bit stronger than Fearow, so I feel like I believe this one is Choice Banded or Choice Scarfed. I don't remember. It's been a while, but this is another really, really good game, and don't really get the chance to show off Beedrill as much as I would have liked to in this game either, but it's another interesting game. I'm going to lead with Alamolima, and he's going to, he leads with Piloswine. I feel like that was the best choice, just because Alamolima, it's reliable. I don't know if he predicts my Toxic or just wants to switch out his Piloswine, but he's going to go into Haunter. I'm going to switch out into Beedrill, who gets tricked to Choice Scarf, which isn't terrible, but it's not really super useful because it is a wall. My Beedrill is a wall. I go out to my Raichu, who has earned the nickname Gold Star because I love Raichu. I'm going to predict his switch into Piloswine, go for Focus Miss, which hits, and Piloswine makes it out completely unscathed, which is unfortunate. I'm going to go back into my Alamolima as he brings in Girder. As I go for the Scald, I'm hoping for a burn and hoping that he doesn't have Guts, because normally NU sets don't run Guts because they prefer Eviolites with the other ability. I can't remember what it is now. But his Haunter's going to come in, Sludge Bomb my Alamolima. It does a pretty good chunk of damage, all things considered, but I can, stall out for a little bit for some extra HP, which is exactly what I do. And at this point, I'm like, alright, I have the whole, recovery thing going on. He can't kill me from this point, so I'm going to Wish Pass to myself and get that going on. I go for the Protect just for, insurance as he switches out to Murkrow, which is perfectly fine. At this point, I go into Raichu as he substitutes, because I figure this could either be like one of those weird lock-in sets with Mean Look and what have you that I know Elo has run in the past, but that's not exactly what happens. And I'm going to Volt Switch out into Dodrio, because I feel like this is a pretty good matchup, all things considered. I'm just going to go for the Trill Peck. It's stab. It's really the best thing I can do. He's going to go into Piloswine as I Drill Peck again. And at this point, I'm going to go out into Beedrill kind of as fodder, because I feel like, you know, if he goes for the Ice Shard, I'll probably die. Icicle Spear, I will die with Dodrio. So I feel like just foddering off Beedrill was the best thing to do. I know that I can take one Earthquake because of my last fight, and I know for a fact that 1+2 Waterfall will kill him off, so that's exactly what I do here. As he goes into Girder, I'm just going to stay in, go for the Waterfall. He is going to Drain Punch, which does not kill me, fortunately enough, and that will allow me to kill off his Girder without much incident. As he brings in War Turtle, I'm like, I could either go for the reliable damage, or I could try to get as much damage off with Mega Horn. I go for the Mega Horn, and it doesn't pay off because I miss, which is unfortunate. But that's what happens when you don't use a super accurate move. But I am now, you know, kind of at a disadvantage. My my Focus Blast missed, my Mega Horn missed. It's not great, but this does kind of work out. I Thunderbolt his Munchlax, which does nothing to it. Especially defensive Eviolite Munchlax. Forget about it. I'm not sure how this thing fell into NU, but here it is. Anyway, I'm going to go into my Maractus. I get a couple of lucky turns because I don't get the paralysis, and then he gets paralyzed, which allows me to recover quite a beautiful chunk of HP with Leech Seed. I'm going to start trying to lay down spikes just because I feel like having that support will be useful. I make the albeit poor decision to stay in and try and see if I can start stalling out this Haunter some. He does way more to me than I expected with Sludge Bomb, but I guess it makes sense because Haunter's pretty powerful on the special side. Plus, it gets stab and everything. So, anyway, I'm going to bring in my Alamolama. I live, get a bunch of health back, and he's going to switch out into War Turtle, as I protected just mostly for HP. I'm going to take this opportunity to Toxic War Turtle. He wants to do the same thing to me, so we kind of exchange Toxic. It's much more beneficial to me than it is to him because I have the Regenerators, so basically if I only stay in for a turn or two, I can completely negate the Toxic damage and still heal it off. And War Turtle, unless you're running like a Rest Sleep Talk set, doesn't have any reliable recovery, and he has no Wish Passers on his team, so basically his War Turtle has been condemned. At this point, with Murkrow, he's doing a lot of crazy shenanigans, but I don't want my Raichu to die. I feel like I kind of need it to get through the remainder of this battle. Raichu is a little bit pivotal at this point, especially in dealing with this Murkrow. So what I'm going to do is I make a decision that seems immediately kind of dangerous, but in the long run, a really, really good decision. Because I'm going to Wish Pass to my Raichu, which gets healed completely from 37%, and that is the power of the HP pool of Big Love Disc. And at this point, I'm just going to start firing off Thunderbolts. Even with the Calm Minds, I'm fairly sure that, you know, he can't keep up this charade for long. I'm eventually going to crit it or get, you know, the paralyzation off, which will help me out a lot. And he's just going to try and keep doing like this substitute roost thing, trying to stall me out. And at this point, I could either switch and kind of, you know, continue this, or I can just commit to it, which is exactly what I do, and it pays off because I finally get the crit and take out Murkrow. Could I win had that not happened? I'm not sure. That was kind of a pivotal moment because now I get to take out his Haunter as well, and he only has 2 dudes left. And I know I can take out War Turtle no problem because of the fact that it is toxic, so it does have a counter on it. So as long as I can stall out War Turtle, I'm fine. Which is why I go into Maractus and do the thing. And I'm going to go into Dodrio and just take him out with Drill Peck. And I'm confident that the only thing that I really have to take out this Munchlax is Dodrio, and since Dodrio's locked into Drill Peck, I know that's not going to be enough. So I'm going to switch into Alamolama, and he Whirlwinds me, which is perfectly fine because I get dragged into Dodrio for the Brave Bird, take it out from like 80-something%, I think, and win with a Mola Mola left. Big love disc in the wings for the victory. That was an incredibly good game. It was a lot of fun. It was very fast-paced. It was very challenging. And I really, really enjoyed that game. So good game to my opponents. I am very, very much enjoying Pokemon Showdown. I really like this team. I do have, other teams that I want to showcase that will be coming in just a little while, so sit tight. I should be getting back to a more regular uploading schedule. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time.